Welcome back to Full Circle. How you guys doing? A very good morning to you. You know we always love to hear from you, so send in your comments, your feedback. Be part of the conversation. 111 We'll be sampling your text messages as we go by, and it's just gonna cost you 1 shilling. Switch TV KE on Instagram, Switch TV Kenya on Facebook. Now, it's Thursday. You know what that means. Shazmeen Bank is in the building. And today, you've been well?
I have been well.
Yes, since I think we had the Zoom on Monday.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels like I've seen you
twice, right?
Yeah, which is great. I'm not complaining. And I'll see you again tomorrow,
yes,
which is amazing. Shaz, we are talking about mother-in-laws. This is a sensitive conversation.
Yes.
That you think the universe sort of jinxed you this morning.
Yes.
They knew what you were going to talk about today.
You cannot be stuck in traffic the way I was stuck in traffic today. And at some point I was like, maybe all the mother-in-laws have come together and they're like sending energy. Like this conversation mustn't happen.
It's happening. You're here. You're here. You're here. Dealing with mother-in-laws,
yes,
we have good ones, we have not so good ones, we have ones that will interfere with your business. How do you deal with them respectfully?
Okay, beautiful question. Let's dive into this one.
Okay.
So professionally, I've been able to work with two sides. So I'll always sometimes sit with the mother-in-law, then I always sometimes sit with an aggrieved daughter-in-law, and then you sit with the son who is just torn between two beautiful women in his life.
Yes.
The thing that I think we all forget is when you're sitting with the mother-in-law, here is like a whole being that just has feelings, is human, came from a generation where nobody really cared about her when she got into a marriage. She was like forced to have to like come in and make things work. And you know, now we're in a generation where women have a voice and they want their husbands to stand up for them, and marriage is the two of us.
Yes.
But she comes from a generation where marriage was all of us.
Yes.
And you didn't have a choice, and you just hoped the man you were with would be able to stand up for you. And now you're like torn in this cross section of a generation where the mother-in-law doesn't know she's really doing anything wrong, unless they are some very narcissistic, very toxic mother-in-laws. But when you look at the bottom of where they come from, they're just human beings craving love, worried they're going to be lonely once their son is gone. And remember, a mother-in-law is given her whole life. So she started this journey with her son at 9 months. You know, she's loved him, she's nurtured him, she's known him in what she feels is better than anyone else could ever know him. And then suddenly another woman's going to come in and tell her how to change her son, or change him even, because you have simple problems with mother-in-laws, which is, I did everything for him. You know, I ironed his clothes, he never picked up a plate, he never had to do anything. He's the prince of the house. And now the wife comes in and he's in love and she enables him to be able to do little things in the house. And you have the mother-in-law going, since when? Since when did he do things? You should be...
I don't think you're good enough for him.
Exactly. And you should be the person doing things for my son.
Yes.
But the generations changed. Women are working. Husbands are working. You need to be able to do things together. So the best and the simplest way to be able to come into it is to be able to get the daughter that can explain to the husband in a very beautiful way, if the mother-in-law is consistently attacking her in a negative way, that this is how I feel and how can we deal with it? How do we handle it together? Because a lot of the times the daughter will end up putting, or the wife ends up putting the pressure on the husband to be like, this is what I'm going through, you go sort it out.
Yes.
And she's equating that to, if you sort it out and you put me number one between the two of us, then I know you love me more and you care for me more.
Sort of feels like a competition right there.
Exactly. And often it very much is.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember, that generation, the mothers loved the sons.
Yes.
And you loved the sons in such a way that you, because of the relationship you also had with your husband, it wasn't as close, or things went wrong. So now what you did is you took all your energy and effort and you put it into your boys. And even if you have boys, like 2, 3 boys, there's often the very one that you tend to go to. So many situations I have where clients will be like, but they're 3 boys, they're
Yes.
2 boys. Why is she
Just
calling
deal with the other one.
Yes, why does she call him to have to do everything? Why
Yes.
can't, the duties be split? Why can't the 2 of them be able to do something? But you always find that there's the one boy that's normally the softest, the one that she held very dear, the one that returned love in a way that normally the husband should have been able to return the love.
Oh my goodness.
And now she's put all her cards into that one basket, and you're going to tell her another woman's taking that basket away.
But aren't you like a mother? If you are raising a son, you know they will leave at some point, right? Shouldn't that sort of like prepare you for, I know I will have to accommodate another woman because I'm also raising my son to start his own family, right?
Yes.
Just sort of, being the devil's advocate.
Which I feel should be this generation, should be our generation.
A generation, yes.
I have a 16-year-old son, and he always tells me, Mama, I love you, I'll love you always. And I always tell him, I'm loving you so that one day all this love, you'd be able to love somebody else and make her whole. And I always tell him, and I tell so many people, that if you keep your wife number 1, she will keep me number 1. It won't be a battle.
Okay.
But it's like, this is the generation now that can change that dialogue, that can educate their sons that I love you, I'll always be there for you, but there's another woman that deserves that happiness the way I craved with my husband.
Yes.
It's your time now in your marriage. But a lot of mother-in-laws sometimes don't realize they interfere, they come in, they feel they know what's best. So how do you tackle a mother-in-law that's always in your face and is triggering you? So I always say, first of all, say thank you, and then respond, and then be able to acknowledge what they said to you, and then at the end of it, thank them again. So you kind of sandwich it. So I'll give you an example.
Yes, please. And second, thank you.
Yes.
At first, thank you for what exactly?
So you have a mother-in-law, which I was dealing with last week, which was, I don't feel she should be exercising. She's pregnant, she shouldn't be exercising, it's endangering the baby.
Okay.
And so I got the daughter-in-law to say, thank you so much. I love that you care for the well-being of me and you care for the well-being of the baby. However, my doctors agreed and given me a go-ahead to be able to do this. So I'm going to be able to do it because I'm taking care of me, and I also know what's best for me and the baby. But thank you for caring and loving us so much. What you immediately do is neutralize, because what everyone comes in to do is react. Who are you to tell me? First of all, my mom's not even telling me that. Then why are you the one coming to be able to tell me that? But I always say, if you look at human intention, at the bottom of everything, somewhere deep within all that noise in your head about a mother-in-law, there's care.
Okay.
She's just worried. She's worried about how will the baby be? How will you be? There's so many instances, like the smallest one where, she'll get involved in how you cook and in the little things that you're able to do. It's for you to be able to start with very thin boundaries, because I've seen when you can draw a boundary with your mother-in-law, then she also learns to respect you because you can't be pushed around so much.
So you draw the boundary yourself, or do we have the husband as the intermediary here who goes like, ma'am, this is where? Or do I have to also sort of like, as the wife, draw this boundary myself?
You're going to have to do it together.
Okay.
You get married, so you get married to be a team. You get married to work this together. And I just feel it's so important of how you also communicate to your spouse, instead of leaving him with a problem feeling, I'm torn between her and I'm torn between you. How do I work this? I would give him suggestions, and I would be able to tell him, listen, your mom is getting involved in XYZ in our lives. How I feel we could tackle it would be either we talk to her and we sit down together and we do it together. So she sees you are here, you're on my side, but not that we're not loving her or we're alienating her, but we're also letting her know we just want to also have our family. We also want to be able to have our time. We want to be able to make our mistakes. This is like our little time to be able to grow. But we love you to be a part of that journey, but just not all the time in every single way. And it's also be able to speak to your husbands, because a lot of the times women complain that, we've just finished being intimate, or we just finished like dinner, or he just came back from meeting her the whole day and suddenly he's on the phone with her again. And it's being able to explain to him with patience, because sometimes men don't know. They've just grown up. You know, research shows that men between 19 to 35, if they live with their parents that long, they just tend to, 35% of them tend to be very attached to both parents, because that's their whole world, that's all they've known. So sometimes men don't even notice that I'm picking mom and I sort of dropped you to the side and I didn't mean to do it. Because men, you know, they're these beautiful beings, but they've been loyal to this one woman.
Yes.
And now another woman deserves that loyalty and for him to stand up for her as well. But men just don't understand that sometimes. So you have to be able to be gentle and explain it to him and say, I'm not pulling you away, but this is our lives now. We're together. You decided to also start a family with me. So that means I need your attention and I need your time, which means maybe instead of doing dinner every day with your mom, we could do dinner once a week. Maybe instead of holidaying all the time with her, we do 2 holidays a year, 3 holidays a year. And if you really want to have family, then one of them's with family, the rest of them's with us. But there's always a dialogue that can take place.
Okay.
And I know that there must be people listening saying, I've done it all,
And
you don't
sometimes, you know,
understand.
I don't know, but when I listen, Shaz, it's just like, guys, forgive me for this, but it's like the husband's mother is the problem most of the times, because I haven't had us talk about, you know, like the wife's mother. Do we have instances where also that comes on to just bring, you know, coercion into the family?
Always. I mean, mother-in-law jokes go both ways.
Yes,
and
they
I think men sometimes just get stifled because they're never good enough, they'll never do well, they're not looking after the daughter enough. And sometimes, a lot of times, people don't realize sometimes the husband's doing a lot. And the mother looks at her relationship with the husband and feels, I never had that. I never had my husband take care of me the way now he's taking care of the daughter.
Yes.
And sometimes that also causes friction. So it works. There are so many family dynamics when it comes to in-laws. But I would say the best way to do it is for both sides to be able to understand this team is one. You don't shake this team, you don't break this team. So if this side of the family is going to be able to come in and whisper, then whoever's doing the whispering, you have to be able to turn around and say to the in-law that, no, I'm not listening to this. We're a team. I love him. I love her. If you have a problem, then there's a different way we have to be able to sort it. But nothing splits the two of us.
That sounds like a mother-in-law who will listen. Good for conversation. And we can't assume that all of them are like that. Well, we have the other side where they will not listen. They will actually behind the back be trying to hook up this man with somebody else who in their head, they are better.
Yeah.
We've seen her grow up. We know the lineage. We know the parents, the grandparents. You know, she's brought up in church. She's like this. She's nothing like that one. We have instances where you're not able to have children, and then they will go look for somebody else and just bring them there. Boof. So we have extremes. How do we deal with that? Because it doesn't even look like there's a conversation happening there. Then there's also a situation where the man does not see anything wrong with all the outrageous things that are being done by the mother-in-law.
Okay, so this is what you have to be able to do. So a lot of the situations to women saying, I've tried everything, it doesn't work, she won't listen. This is the first thing I'll tell you. No relationship will teach you more about who you are and how you have to grow and react than a relationship like the intimate ones in your life.
Okay.
So first, your mother-in-law is going to teach you that instead of you being aggressive or coming down to her level, reacting, and then her giving a reason to the son to be able to see, I told you, this is how she is for you to be able to be like, I'm the one that can change me. I'm probably never going to be able to change her. So I'm going to be able to work on me, my temperament next to her, but I will also set stricter rules and let my husband know that she attacks me, she purposely picks on me. So if it now means every time we're going to go over and you will not stand for me, then I'm not going to be able to come anymore. because I want to come in a situation when I know if something's going to go wrong, I'm supporting you by already putting myself vulnerably in that situation, but then I need you to stand for me. And if you're not going to, I feel that I might stand for myself and it'll cause more friction in the relationship. So for a while, I'm going to withdraw, and I'm going to be able to find myself and be able to, when I meet your mom, have a little more respect for her instead of losing respect for myself altogether. So that's one of the best ways, is now where he also starts to understand this is too toxic.
Yes.
And then if he's still going to be able to choose the mom, it now comes down to you having a conversation with him and telling him, I've also left a whole life to be able to be with you. So at what point is it the two of us? Because now the conversation's not even her. The conversation's the fact that him, or even the woman who won't let go of her family, now it comes down to the two of you. How do you talk? How do you solve it? And I just feel a lot of the times even men sort of feel that my wife is always with the family. She won't let go of the family. She's supposed to be with me on my side. I spend more time with her family than she even spends with mine. But it all comes down to the two of you realizing, why did we get married in the first place? We didn't get married to make the in-laws happy. We got married to make us happy, to start our lives. But we're not getting a chance to be able to do that if there's so much noise in our own relationship. And it's causing such a big level of conflict between the two of us that we don't even get to have other normal conflicts and deal with them. So I've seen that this normal situation with in-laws, you know, you just need churches and institutions to also educate them on what you're doing when you're breaking a marriage, when, you know, you have a couple that leaves the in-laws and they're fighting all the way in the car, they're fighting at home, and you don't realize that you're tearing two people apart instead of being able to bring two people together, because that should be the ultimate as parents. But I also feel in the same way, you can't ever change everybody.
No, you can't.
But you can definitely be in control of how you react.
That is the truth. Like, whatever it is that you will pick up from this conversation is that you are in charge, and that two wrongs don't make it right. If you decide to go on the down low, then you are probably giving them evidence to just show your husband that, see how low she can go. Is this what you really want? And I don't know if you've seen this clip that it was making round a couple of years ago, where it's a fight between wife and mother-in-law on who should sit at the front when the husband is driving.
No, I didn't.
It was crazy. Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't.
Oh my goodness. We're taking a very short commercial break. Please remember to send in your questions. We'll be getting into that after this break. Welcome back to Full Circle with Mikali. Always a good laugh with Shaz, and we're going to be telling you why we are, you know, what we're talking about. But first things first, we have a question here. Hi, Mikali. My husband is a mama's boy. He listens to what his mother tells him than what I tell him. He has exposed my weaknesses to his parents that I'm now feeling disrespected by them. What can I do?
Okay.
Oh my God, this is a whole different dynamic.
But it's so common.
Yes.
It's so common. And, you know, mama's boys are the ones that they ask mom for everything. You know, like, what underwear do I wear? What job do I take? Is this the right toothpaste? It's everything revolves around mom, because she's made like that control. She's the center of his world. So there's no room for anybody else. So the best way, I would say, is to be strategic, because it's so sad to be able to see couples fall apart because one woman doesn't give room to another beautiful woman to be able to love her son, probably even more or better in the second phase of his life. So what I would tell you is, if you're struggling like with a mother-in-law that's toxic or narcissistic and won't let her son go, would be to really sit your husband down and tell him, I've reached a point where I can't do it anymore. It's affecting my self-esteem. It's affecting the love I have for you. I feel as a wife I'm holding back. I'm not able to be free. How do we work this together? Because I don't want to take you away from your mom, but there's also room and place for me. But if there's no room and place for me, what am I doing here? you need to be able to tell me also, why am I staying? Because here I am. I'm ready to love you. I'll do anything for you. I'll do the once a weeks with your mom. I'll do anything. But also give me back. Fill my cup. Make me know that behind the scenes, everything I'm doing for you, we're doing it together.
Okay.
And this is something I was sharing with you earlier on, is I've had a mother-in-law, and I got married at 18. So, you know, when I got married really young, at that point, she suddenly had to let go of her son, you know, within a week, you know. So it was this whole crazy dynamic, and I'm trying to hold on to him and she's trying to hold on to him. And at that point, I was in a space where I wanted my husband to be able to tell her things in front of me so that I could hear it, and I would feel like, you've seen me, you heard me, and she's heard me. But then as time went along, I realized that I would see he was so torn. He would be sitting in a room talking to her and she's screaming. And then he comes into the room and he talks to me and I'm screaming. And at some point I realized, like, he can't win. He couldn't win in this situation. So over time I learned, okay, this is the best way to handle it.
Yes.
I'm going to be able to lie in bed and tell him, this is what happened today and it really hurt me. And I learned to get softer and more vulnerable with the way I felt. So instead of aggressively telling him things to go solve it, I allow him to just solve me, to make me feel better. And so suddenly, I didn't need him to be this knight in shining armor in front of her. I just knew between the two of us, we were good, we were okay. And sometimes when she would be grumpy, we became the type that would look at each other and make faces and be like, bad mood. But, you know, it suddenly wasn't, you know, me against her.
Yeah,
but
you were a team.
We were a team, and we learned to laugh together about situations. But the thing was, I learned how to be smarter and rope him in to be able to be on my side, so that if anything ever happened, then he also had my back. But suddenly, in him having my back, I wanted to be able to take care of her. Because I felt, okay, now he's here and he's loving me, and I don't want her to feel alone while she's older. So it's all about learning that at the end of the day, here's a woman who, you know, she's kind of, this is her whole world, and all she wants to do is just love him, but she's doing it in the whole wrong way that she got treated with her mother-in-law. So she doesn't know better, but I'm younger, so I should know better, and I will know better because I want to have the better life. My whole world isn't just the dynamic of mother, father-in-law, and, you know, my whole dynamic is a whole world. So what happens when suddenly your whole dynamic becomes, I also have career, and I have children, and I've got home, but I want to be able to have my husband have my back and show him that I also have his when we have to do stuff together to deal with her.
You know, as women, we have great intuition.
And
did
empathy.
she ever, and empathy, did she ever sort of see what was happening and become softer even towards you?
Yes. And it took a while.
So it also worked, even on that end.
So that's why they say kill him with kindness.
Yes.
You know, because at some point, like, I would be the one that would purposely take her food up. You know, I would be the one that would be like, dinner's ready, and call her down. In the beginning, I would make him do all of that. But at some point, I learned, in the little bits that I was doing, I learned to be softer and I learned to be kinder with her. And as I watched her get older, some part of me was like, one day I'm going to be old. And I want my son to also be able to be there and love me and take care of me.
Yes.
I don't want to kill this dynamic. And I'm telling you, when she passed away, the biggest thing I can tell anyone listening was the day my husband came to me and said, I owe you my life for looking after my mother. Because now that she's gone, I see how much you did for her, and I want to be able to give everything and do everything for you and your family too. And it took a while, but then it worked.
It did.
So sincerity, being vulnerable, sometimes you feel pain, sometimes you don't. But the thing is not to let situations like that trigger your anger and then put you in a space where you're out of control to be able to respond better, more maturely, and also teach her over time. I ain't coming to your bubble. Like, if this is a toxic bubble you're in, then mine's a really happy, bubbly one. You either come into my side, but I'm going to protect my energy and not always be drawn into yours.
Okay. I hope you guys are learning. Hi, Rikali. Niko na mother-in-law ni mzuri, but kazi ananipa ni mob. Hadi na kabila kuzifanya hadi nikikabila kuzifanya ananitetesha nifanyaje.
So she gives her a lot of work.
Yes.
And then
So when she doesn't get to finish the amount of work that she was given to do, which was a lot, anamtetesha.
She like verbally attacks
Yes,
her.
yes.
Yeah. See, I get it, guys. I get you.
I was stuck there for a second, like anamtetesha. Okay.
So this is what I would say. If you're not able to finish all the work and she comes at you and says, you haven't finished all the work, turn around and say, I didn't. But whatever I did, I feel I did really well and to the best that I could. And today I'm probably feeling tired, or I was overwhelmed, or I had other things going on in my life. However, I'd love to learn from you. How did you get all this stuff done? How did you, as this amazing mother, get all the work in the house done and be emotionally stable and manage a husband? I really look up to you. Teach me. Could I spend a day with you and you show me how to best do it?
Oh, yeah. Tough one, but yeah. My goodness. There's no comeback to that, you know.
No, there's no comeback.
And then she will also feel, she wants something from me.
Exactly.
She wants something. She can learn something from me.
And she's leaning on me.
Yes.
Yes, she's
so that
leaning
works.
on me. Yes.
It will take all the strength, especially if you are super angry and do not like the match, but I think it would work.
And it comes down to being able to realize that you can change you. You can control you.
Yes.
This little situation could ruin your whole marriage, could ruin your whole day, will ruin your mood at work. Or you choose to be really strong about how you are. You take care of your mind space. You understand I'm in a good place. I'm not allowing these little triggers. Because remember, if you can conquer your relationship with your mother-in-law, then you are conquering every other relationship because you've grown in how you're able to handle her. So you're definitely able to handle friendships, you're able to handle a boss, you're able to handle any other situation because she's like a teacher. She's just pulling things out of you that either break you or make you.
Yeah.
And I just feel as women, you know, when you pull into the empathy, the vulnerability, the beauty that you have, somehow you break all the noise around her and you see here's just a human being asking for love, feeling lonely and scared. I'm not going to attack that. I'm not going to attack her outer bubble. I'm not going to attack me by being that toxic.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be the one that's going to be calmer. And from today, I'm making a decision that I'm going to be smarter with how I tackle her in every way. And I've done it. I swear I've done it. It works.
It works.
Yes.
It works.
Yeah.
It works. Morning, Mwikali. I don't have a mother-in-law, unfortunately. She passed away. But now I have the auntie who literally raised them. She's a very good one and a Christian woman. Now the problem is when we have a problem, she listens to the guy more than my side. Should I be the one kusimamisha boma? Why do husbands take sides? So let me do this. So there's an auntie who's raised the boys.
Yes.
The family where the mother-in-law passed on. And she says that she's a good woman. She's a Christian woman. The problem is she listens to the guy more. So doesn't listen to the woman or the sides. She always takes the side of the husband. I think that's the question.
Okay, so...
And why do husbands always take sides?
Well, I think husbands just get torn sometimes. They just don't know better. And so default would be, how do I, avoid conflict? And this looks like the easier way because mom will eat me alive, but I know my wife will love me at some point and give me a softer time at home. So in the dynamics I've seen in all these years, I've understood that sometimes men just didn't know better and then they get educated and now they know. Or sometimes men just feel so scared to go against the mother and they feel she's been their whole world that I can't lose that. And so sometimes for them they feel it's easier to lose a wife than to be able to lose a mom. And in a dynamic like that, that's when the wife has to be able to stand up for herself and say, I can't be a part of that because I'm always the third wheel. And I didn't get married to be the third wheel. I got married for us to be our own entity and then bring people into our space and then they leave as well. But then when people leave, it's the two of us. But in a situation like this, if you're saying she's a beautiful Christian woman, then play on the dynamic that she's Christian. So go to her and say, I love that, you know, you follow God and you're Christian, and, you know, you're this person that's righteous, and you listen in beautiful ways. But I'm also feeling really hurt. I feel that you're always taking his side, and woman to woman, I'm just trying to understand, what could it be? What am I not communicating to you to have you understand that I do my best, and I'd like for you to be able to listen to me as well. But I also feel this dynamic of having other people involved in your marriage has to be able to stop at some point.
Yes.
When you take out noise and opinions of other people, the two of you are left to have to deal with the problem, and you might fight it out. But then the two of you learn how to make it work, instead of always having an easy route, which is to have a third person come in and solve the marriage, unless it's professional. So you're going to have to understand, if his side of the family is coming in, at some point they will take his side, just as if it was your side of the family. But my advice is, work it together. Your space, your sanctity, your creation, figure it out, the two of you.
Yeah. We have about a minute, so I'll just sneak in one quick question. Hello, Mikali. I'm not yet married, but I have a fiancé. I am 25. My boyfriend moved to Dubai for job reasons, but before he left, he introduced me to his mom. The problem is, I feel like his mom is so much into my business, because every weekend she comes over to my house and I don't like it. I told my boyfriend that I need my space, and he said that he wants me and his mom to bond. That disturbs me, because every weekend I am uncomfortable in my own house. How should I tell her without sounding rude?
So this is what I would say to do. Turn around and tell her that right now, you know, this little space that I have, like, I would rather, instead of us being at home, what if we went out for coffee? What if we went out for a lunch? What if I kind of spent a little bit of a day with you, and, you know, sort of tell her that, listen, when I'm home on the weekend, sometimes I just need a bit of downtime, but I'd love to spend any other day with you during the week. But this little space I need for me. And then be able to explain to him that I have to, and we have to set boundaries now. Before we get married and this becomes a problem, because I'm also allowed to have the weekends to me. I want to be able to be in my own space and not feel like that space is being taken away from me. So I'm willing to work with your mom. I'm willing to do stuff with her during the week. But in the same regard, I'm bonding with her, but you need to be able to also have my back and say, Mom, I think do stuff with her during the week, leave her with her space on a weekend, and then at some point also explain to him, when I feel happy and I feel comfortable, I'll call her into that space on the weekend. But you've got to, if you're not married yet, communicate this now.
Ali, this is when to do it. Plus, there's something about, you know, having people in your space that you can't tell them to leave. So it's better if you go for coffee, if you go for lunch, then you're able to be like, you know, we already had our lunch, you know, it's done, like goodbye, you know, it's easier.
Exactly. And you could turn around and tell her, this weekend I've got a couple of friends coming over. I won't be able to see you this weekend, but we could do lunch on Monday.
That's what's up.
So you just learn to be able to tackle it, navigate it, but stand strong also as a woman, because when she sees you in her own, she's able to be like, this beautiful, strong woman. Yeah, she's good for my son.
Firm and can stand her ground.
And
our time is up, Shaz. The social media handles, your email as well.
So you can always reach me on @BeingRealNow. DM me. It's so easy to voice note. I'd love to be able to speak to you. On email, it's bankshazmeen@gmail.com. BANKSHAZMEEN@gmail.com. And I'll just leave it on one note. You know, as women, we're built with this beautiful empathy, love, care, and vulnerability. And sometimes when you use that against somebody that's built so many, you know, boundaries around them, their own selves, only love can crack something like that. So it takes a lot from you, but make it like a project to see how strong can you be, how loving can you be to be able to break something like that in your life.
Oh my God, powerful. As always, thank you for coming through. Our
Thank you.
Thursdays have become brighter. We love them, don't we? We're taking a very short commercial break. When we come back, how well can you protect yourself as a woman when it comes to, you know, being tackled? Do you know what to do, where to hit them, and stuff like that? We'll be right back.